Michael Armstrong is at it again after his number one hit in the US. He's bringing more music out. Top performer, fantastic fella, and joins me now to let me know what's going on. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, Jason. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Right, let's start off. Let's reminisce a little bit to begin with, because as much as we know your music is of fine quality, everybody I've ever played your albums and stuff to have always said how wonderful it is. We've playlisted your stuff on the station, understandably, in the past, but the number one, Each Other's Eyes, that was a bit of a surprise, wasn't it?
That was a huge surprise. Yeah. Number one in America is October, November 2021. It was the opening song from my third album called Oh Hi. It's a song called Each Other's Eyes, and yeah, it was number one in the indie music charts in the US for 4 weeks, and number 14 in the top 40, I think it was, for the same amount of time. Yeah, it was a complete surprise. I ever since I've been recording music, people have said to me, "Oh, it worked really well in America," and it's all well and good people saying that, but how does that actually, work in itself? And so I originally made a list of American radio stations 10 years ago when my first album came out, and ever since then I've always sent out the singles to all these people, and I don't hear back from anyone. The odd community station in Hawaii, I think, once got back to me, but I hadn't really heard anything. But this particular song, someone in New York started playing it, and then his friends started playing it, and before I knew it, it had entered the charts and entered at number 35, and I was absolutely over the moon. And week by week, it went up to into the top 20, and then into the top 10. Then it was number 5, and then it was number 2, and I thought, surely this can't happen. And yeah, it went all the way to number 1. That was incredible. It was during lockdown. Um, so I wasn't able to go over there or anything, but I think that kind of helped in a way. I remember at one point, right at the start, it was sitting between, I think I was at number 5 and Justin Bieber was at number 6 and Harry Styles was at number 4. And I thought, well, they clearly don't know how old I am or what I look like or anything like this. It's just on the strength of the music. So perhaps COVID and being unable to get there helped me in that way. But yeah, it was a great surprise.
But it's absolutely well deserved, this sort of plaudits that come off the back of something like that. And it's a oh hi, an absolutely amazing album, and one that yeah, it's sat in my car in no cause taken out the CD player for absolutely ages. It's you then sort of have a favorite album, and it was understandably listenable. And I think people forget that albums were supposed to be listened to all the way through. Very much into the 80s, 90s. Album tracks was seen as something terrible, whereas yeah, these days, yeah, anything can be a single off an album.
Yeah, I think times have changed hugely. I mean, when I was a kid, it was all about albums. I was born in the 70s, so and I really loved the music of the 70s. So I really like my parents' record collection, to be honest, and you can hear that in my music. But I think these days albums are almost a forgotten art, aren't they? I mean, it's all about singles and listening to streaming and things like that. So I don't think I'm sure it will come back round again. These things always do. Like vinyl has started making its way back over the last 10 years, hasn't it? So I guess people are listening to albums in full that way.
Yeah, but I
Um,
mean, you are vinyl worthy, and some of these artists aren't, are they?
Yeah, no, I've never done vinyl either. I should do it really. I must think about doing it. If it really it makes it if it continues to resurge, then I should certainly think about it. Yeah.
Well, I say three albums in and lots of projects you're working on. So, I mean, what else would you say about the single? Because I think we should take a little listen to that, and then we'll come back a bit later on and have a bit of a natter about the rest of what you've got going on. But what else would you do to pitch this one? Because you work in music plugging as well. So, how would you plug this?
This is an interesting song because it was never intended for me. During lockdown, again, I was working. My second album was produced, and a lot of the songs I co-wrote with a guy called Warren Bennett, and we've stayed really good pals ever since. And during lockdown, he contacted me and said, "I've got a few songs which I've not been able to finish. They're just ideas. Do you want to help me? Do you want to help me finish them?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to." So he sent me 5 or 6 songs. And the idea was that they weren't for me to sing. They were perhaps for a female singer or a boy band. And the premise of that project was to go write out and out pop songs. Nothing clever lyrically, which sometimes I can get I'm guilty of. Just out and out simple pop songs, just like they should be. And we finished these 5 or 6 songs, and we both really liked what we'd done. And he said, "I'll send you some more," and he sent me about 60 more. I didn't realise he had quite so many. And so over the course of that lockdown, we ended up writing, I think, 75 songs together. Again, none of them meant for me. And the greatest thing was one of those songs. And I had kind of earmarked it for myself, I must be honest, because I thought it had something special about it, and I knew I could sing it well. And so, time rolled on, and we were speaking last year, and we said we really must do something with one of these songs. Well, with these songs. And I said, well, let's do The Greatest Thing. I'd love to sing it. And so here it is. So that's why it's a very uplifting, positive, out and out pop song. It's just a love song, and I think it's come out really well.
Picture all day through, and when I come home in the evening, I'm gonna hold you once again. Never a week, a day, a minute, I'll be without you. Can't you tell me when? Stop your thinking, I don't want the time to run away. Be a slave to your desire. I'll go on my knees and pray. I'd do anything you ask me. Just tell me and it's done. I'm like a fool with no direction. I'm like a man that's on the run. Come on now, baby, we both believe it's true. I knew that I found love in the moment I found you. Don't you keep me waiting, hanging on a string. I already told you, you're the greatest thing.
So that is the greatest thing, Michael. 1+1. It's almost a pseudonym. What's going on there?
Yeah, 1+1 is essentially Warren and I. We didn't want to release it as just a Michael Armstrong track because it's perhaps not, as I mentioned before, it's perhaps not relevant of the singer-songwritery kind of thing that I do. Although Each Other's Eyes, the other song you played, is again a simple love song. So, but it's very much Warren and I. So rather than just Michael Armstrong, we thought we'd call it 1+1, and also encompassing that is I'll tell you a little story. If anyone has a dog, I have a dog, and I take my dog out for walks, every morning and every evening. And anyone else who does that, walks the same place, you get to know the other dog walkers over the time. And for about a year, I've been walking my dog with a guy called Phil. And being a typical blokes, we never never spoke about what we did for a living. We just spoke about the weather, and we spoke about our dogs, and we complained about the government. And after about a year, Phil found something online or saw something and said to me, "Are you the Michael Armstrong, the singer?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, I've been listening to your stuff. It's really good." He said, "I'm Phil Mulford, the bass player." He said, "I played with the Bee Gees, with Lionel Richie. I do all the West End stuff." And I was like, okay, I've known this guy for a year. We're both in the same business, and we hadn't mentioned it. And it turns out this guy is one of the most sought after bass players in the country. And he was doing a festival, and he said, "Do you want to come and sing a few songs with us?" "I'd love to." And I went, and this band that I sang with were just incredible. And they all turned out that the drummer played with Ed Sheeran and the keyboard player with Van Morrison. They were the cream of Britain's kind of session musicians. And so he said, "Should we play the local pub as well?" And so we turned up, this group of amazing musicians, and we blew everyone away. So we've done that a few times. And when we started recording this song, Warren and I just said, "I've got a great band to record this." So I spoke to the guys, and they all agreed to play on it. So 1+1 is kind of it's a bit like a Donald Fagen and a Walter Becker, Steely Dan. Warren and I are the Donald and the Walter. And then we've got these incredible session musicians playing on our music. And I think
it's
that adds a lot to
super group. Come on, Michael. It is a super
It's a super group. That's what it is. It's the new super group, the new Travelling Wilburys.
Well, it's absolutely fantastic. And I mean, with your music, I mean, because you work in the industry, as a performer, you performed with all sorts of people. Yeah, I mean, you've even worked alongside the likes of Cliff Richard. You've been Cliff Richard's warm-up man at times as well, haven't you?
I have, yeah. I've that was one of the first things I had to do. Really, I remember that was I think it was Good Morning Britain. Cliff was due to go on there, and he was doing a duet with Frida Payne from an album he had, Soulicious. And I was with Lisa, my manager at the time, who looks after Cliff, and we got the call saying he was stuck in traffic and therefore couldn't do the rehearsals. And they were really short for time. So Lisa said, "Well, Michael will stand in." So I did the rehearsals and all the camera shots and sang the single with Frida Payne, sang it live with Frida, which was incredible. That's not a bad first job. And I think always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Cliff turned up at the last minute, stood in and did the final live bit, and I was pushed to the side. But I was very proud to have done it.
Work that you do with all of these people. I mean, there's lots of different artists, and that you are one of their peers, and it must be great working on both your own career and somebody else's sort of simultaneously, even to this day.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've loved music since an early age, and for many years I wasn't in the music business, as we've spoke about previously. I ran a building company with my dad for 15, 20 years, from the age of 18 to 38, and it was only then that I got into the music business. And so the last 10 to 15 years have been incredible, working with some of my, greatest heroes, and at the same time being able to work on my own music. It's a dream come true, really.
But you've got all sorts of fantastic credits as well. The likes of Richard Madeley saying very nice things about you. Did just start 5-star reviews on Amazon, and then someone McCartney, something or other, has described your music. A bit of a fan of your work.
Yeah, he called me pop star. Hey, you're a pop star. That was at the Queen's Jubilee concert back in 2013, and we were working there with Cliff. But all the stars from the concert were just milling around backstage for the whole kind of weekend during sound checks and things like that. And Paul McCartney's my hero. He's the reason I wanted to write songs and play the guitar and play the piano. And so I immediately kind of latched onto him. Probably drove him mad, but he was very, very kind to me. And I gave him a CD, and he was just a really down to earth, lovely guy, and yeah, one of the standout moments of my life, let alone my career.
Well, I say it's good to be part of these things, good to enjoy, but also great to share the music. And say we talked about the success of the single hitting #1 in the charts. You've got say 1+1, the current project, and the latest work that you've got there with the greatest thing. So. Are we expecting a new album? Okay, 1+1 going to be the first of a new series of albums?
Well, 1+1, as I said, it was always intended for other singers, not me. So what our plan is, or our goal, is to engage other singers to sing the other songs. 1+1 featuring Michael Armstrong is this track. But I was speaking to people this morning. I'm trying to get in touch with people like Beverly Knight, Sophie Ellis-Bextor. 1+1 featuring those artists is our ultimate goal, because the songs were written for those kind of artists, and hopefully if this has a modicum of success, that will help us to speak to these artists and do a deal. So that's the 1+1 idea. In terms of Michael Armstrong, it's 10 years since my debut album came out, so I'm working on a compilation of kind of rarities and some of my favorite album tracks, which is going to come out in spring, summer, and hopefully do some gigs around that. And at the same time, I'm recording new music, which will eventually become a new album, probably this time next year, I would hope, if I can pull my finger out. But yeah, it's really exciting. We got a lot happening this year. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, we'll definitely expect to see each other's eyes on that, as it's #1 in the US. So that's got to be on any compilation, hasn't it? So it'll get to another airing there, and justified so as well. We're going to give it a play now. But where do people get hold of all the current tracks, including the greatest thing?
The Greatest Thing is available on all the usual download places, Amazon, iTunes. If you want to stream, I'd rather you didn't, but you can go to Spotify. It's on there. But the best place to check out anything about me is my website, which is michaelarmstrongmusic.co.uk.
Do check out the details. Look for the socials too. There's stuff on that way too. And there'll be links from on there. But for now, Michael Armstrong, always good to speak to you. Thank you for joining us. And I look forward to talking again when that compilation is out later on this year.
Thanks, Jason. You too.
Lost in the night until I found your sunrise. The light from your soul transcends space and time. I look through your window and I'm invited inside. You and I in each other's eyes. You've had a rough day, somebody talk down to you. All I can say is they don't see you like I do. You're a goddess, they should be bowing down to. Your tears blur my reflection and make me more sad than you. Tough day, somebody talk down to you. All I can say is they don't see you like I do. In my eyes, you're a goddess, they should be bowing down to. Your tears blur my reflection and make me more sad than you. When we lock eyes, we see where our future lies, and all the fear and doubt in both of us dies. We hold no secrets, we wear no disguise. You and I in each other's eyes. We hold no nights we wear no disguise, you and I in each other's eyes.